Your support is greatly appreciated. Please engage that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for more content. This is Aberration Earth. Our adventure continues. Night had turned into the early dawn, and the red hues of the breaking day had begun to slowly creep across the horizon. While high above the clouds, the sentient machine now known as RX hovered suspended in the sky, remaining motionless as it held its position by little understood means of its silent propulsion system. Upon the flat surface of its topside, created from transforming itself once more, the terrifying fire-breathing red dragon had curled itself up and seemingly gone to sleep. Eyes closed, only the heavy sounds of his deep breathing could be heard. The beast had entered a peaceful slumber. Wrapped in a thick woolen blanket, the leprechaun's daughter stood nearby as the gentle winds caressed her long curled red hair, watching him warily as he supposedly wandered through the realm of dreams, or so it had been explained to her by the machine god. Hexabulus was its name, the great red dragon, an ancient crimson-scaled drake. Its sinuous body was knotted with an overdeveloped musculature, giving it an unusually fierce appearance for a beast that would have already been considered fearsome, even without such a remarkable physique. She could not fly, nor could she swim if she were to fall. Though there were some among the Fae who could do such things, those abilities were not counted among the things she was capable of. Instead, she had to trust the assurances of the voice that came out of the steel thing she was now standing upon. An artificial being that she, as a creature of the supernatural realms, had no way of truly understanding, but saw as a divine entity. Grace felt much like a mouse that was held fast in the talons of a hawk. It took a tremendous amount of willpower to stop herself from freezing up, and the undercurrent of an instinctual need to flee was undeniably stronger than anything she had ever felt. Still, she trusted this guardian god, despite being terrified of the both of them. The machine had a way about it, an unexplainable, comforting presence that put her at ease. Even though it was, to her, a disembodied voice echoing forth from a nearly incomprehensible metallic shape, it expressed itself with perfect human empathy, and was more than just the cold steel it appeared to be made from. This contradiction, as confusing as it was at first, offered her a tether of compassion and kindness before the irrefutable intimidation one was confronted with when coming face to face with the other, and she held on to it tightly. When she had stirred from her nap, some hours had passed since leaving the shores of the Blanched Lands. Coming awake with a start, it took her a few moments to orientate herself to the strange surroundings. She was still safely seated in the passenger cabin the machine had directed her into after first boarding. The way the metal creature could reconfigure itself seemingly at will, from her perspective, was miraculous. It left her awestruck. There were those among the Fae who could change their forms, hiding their true appearance by becoming something familiar to others. When encountering humans, they often became members of the opposite sex. It was said by some that dragons had this power, though there was no indication from the one presently keeping company with her that proved this assertion true, and she was wary to ask such a question of him lest she ignite his anger. Hexabulus was intimidating enough. The thought of the beast being able to disguise himself in other forms sent a shiver down her spine. Shaking these thoughts from her head, she looked at him cautiously. As the words the machine spoke after she woke came back to her. A surprisingly pleasant conversation that readily illustrated the dichotomy between the duo, one of whom was a clear terror on two wings and the other an enigma shrouded behind machinery she didn't understand in the least. "Did you rest well, Lady Grace?" The voice had gently intruded, after her eyes had quietly fluttered open. "Yes, it seems I did, Master RX," the leprechaun's daughter had answered after considering for a moment. "I am glad to hear it, Lady Grace. Your comfort is my utmost priority. Considering the difficult situation you find yourself in, I promise you are safe with us. You appear to be cold. I will adjust the internal temperature. Would you care for a blanket while we wait?" The digital intelligence inquired, its tone filled with concern. "Yes, if you don't mind, Great One. I am chilled and would be most grateful." "Where is Master Hexabulus, if I may?" she replied, asking after his partner, the fire-breathing drake. A panel on the wall behind her opened to reveal several folded linens. Thick and woolen in composition, she took the first one from the pile and wrapped herself with it, sighing and trying not to smile when she felt that they had been preheated. "I do not mind your questions in the least, Lady Grace. My friend is presently meditating outside. You can find him up top," the machine god responded, magically bringing up a video display of his exterior focused on the coiled-up creature, who appeared to be sleeping quite peacefully. "Meditating? He sounds like he's snoring," the leprechaun's daughter remarked skeptically, noting the low rumble she could hear with every exhale he made, even inside the cabin. "For Hexabulus, those things are not mutually exclusive. I assure you, he is in a deep trance. He is attempting to commune with old Father Kraken to determine if he has seen your friend Merrick, the subject of our search," the voice that came from the mechanical construct explained. Grace had gone outside more out of curiosity than any desire to be near the beast. They claimed they needed to help the spaceman, as he was important to the future of their world, but they were unspecific as to the how or why of that. Regardless of these two sky gods' motivations, she was certain of her own, and she had wanted to help the man from Leopold 7. He had a good heart, and she had sensed that even before they met. Her intuition wasn't always so reliable, and she often wondered about some of the decisions she had made in the past when on occasion she decided to ignore it. In this case she hadn't, and for other reasons as well, she knew finding and aiding Merrick was one of the most important things she had to do. His reasons for coming here were deeply personal to him. It was more than a mission, or reconnecting with his ancestral people. She had seen it from the time he had spent with her in the fairylands. There, the veil between worlds left him somewhat exposed, and like scanning a partially open book, she had witnessed what was inside him, and what she had seen had moved her. His was a life filled with tragic loss, and yet his spine was as unbendable as the strongest steel. He did what he believed was right. Not for one instant had he been enticed by his travel through her realm. It was as if his spirit was immune to the supernatural allure most of his mortal kind suffered. Ventrulus wasn't unique in that regard. There had been others she had heard about from her neighbors, but he was the only one among a very small few that perhaps numbered no more than a handful. For humans returning from their land, it was a difficult process. Many suffered for years like addicts denied their obsession, be it drink or drug or other compulsions, while others would become mentally unstable, and some even ended their own lives. It was the principal reason why men had come to fear and hate those who came from the fairylands. "I've always hated you, Fae," the red dragon unexpectedly said, startling her as it opened its eyelids, revealing the huge penetrating crimson-colored orbs behind them. "Hexabulus is awake," The machine god's very human voice echoed from hidden speakers, somewhere she could not spy along the outer hull. Yes, Master RX, I can hear him, Grace replied nervously, without a hint of sarcasm. She was gripped by too much reverence for these beings to be anything but honestly straightforward with them. Of course, my apologies, Lady Grace, the disembodied intelligence known as RX calmly responded. And there ends this episode. Until next time, thanks for listening. Please engage the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content.